Hello, movie lovers, and we are live. So, we're actually doing our Dexter Morgan after show. This is actually called the Passenger at Dexter Morgan after show. What we're going to be doing is, as everyone knows, the new season of Dexter is going to probably start around 2021, and we're actually going to be reviewing every single season of Dexter all the way up until that season premiere. So, we don't know exactly when that premiere is actually going to happen, but the way that it's going to go down is this. We're going to review 1 through 3 first, and then once we actually know when the new season is actually going to come out, we'll come back and we'll review the rest of the seasons. But I hope that you guys enjoy this Dexter after show. I hope that you guys stick around. If you guys love Dexter, comment in the comment section and everything too. We'll go on ahead, take your live chat questions. We'll geek out with you over Dexter. So without further ado, let's go on ahead and get on with this. So I really love this first season. I'm glad that the first season is actually named Dexter rather than just calling it the pilot, because I feel like the pilot is just something that's been overplayed for a certain period of time whenever you look at TV shows. So when we first get introduced to Dexter, we actually hear the whole entire monologue. Tonight's the night. It's going to happen. And I love the red that actually symbolizes blood. And it actually symbolizes that there's something dark and ominous about it. He's in his car. We're not sure where they're going with this or anything like that. And then you see these choir people actually singing, and then you realize that it's actually a priest that molested these kids, and then therefore Dexter's gonna go and go havoc on the priest for raping for raping the choir kids and stuff like that, and seeking justice in his way that he does. So when you saw the season premiere of season 1, what did you think of the opening scenes that I just mentioned?
I think it pretty much it kind of gets your mind ready. Like, all right, like you're asking questions. Who's this guy? What's he talking about? Is he good? Is he bad? I mean, with the color scheme, I just thought of that just now. Remind me of Taxi Driver in the opening scene. You don't know whether he's good, whether he's bad. The imagery, just the voice in his head, and then once you see the choir boy, and then you're like, oh, okay, he kills people, but not the people you'd expect.
Right. And pretty much he's like a vigilante if you actually think about it. He actually puts away the bad guys and gets off of different crimes and stuff like that too, which is something that I really liked about that aspect as well, because we never saw like a serial killer go after other bad guys. We always see them hurting like innocent people. So for them to actually pull from that and do that, I really have to commend Showtime wanting to actually get the rights from the novel to do
Mm-hmm.
this show. And it's actually layer by layer. As a matter of fact, I read the first book, and it's play by play of everything in the first season. But I also like the interactions between Deb and Dexter, the chemistry between brother and sister. You can actually tell that they're brother and sister, the way they play fight with each other. Deb is also fed up with being working for Miami Vice. She wants to be promoted to where she can actually be a detective. And of course, she knows Dexter has that quirk where he can actually um, identify serial killers in the way that they actually kill and everything, and what kind of serial killer that they should be looking for. And even though he's a blood
Mm-hmm.
splatter analyst in Miami and everything, which I really like, is the fact that he works for forensics and he's able
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool too, and it's just you immediately know who Deb is. She's dropping f bombs every 5 seconds or so. So it's like she's the female version of Sam Jackson, except with the instead of saying mother effer, she just drops the f bomb like eating mince.
Exactly. And I can't tell you how many times I counted the F bomb just from Deb alone. Don't get me wrong. You get let's see here. We actually talked about what's the one Dokes. Dokes drops the
Oh,
MF bomb all the time, but
yeah,
Deb has him beat by a mile long. I also like the fact that we actually get introduced into the season with all the other detectives, with Angel, then the other
yes,
forensics guy. Uh, Hold on one second. Hey, everyone! I started watching season 7. Talking about, hey, Okay, Brandy just started watching season 7. That's awesome, babe. I didn't even know that you were even binging it. So, but no, I have to say, I really enjoyed that we actually get to be introduced to all these characters at the very beginning, where they're surrounded
Hmm.
by these body parts, and
Yeah.
there's no blood splatter. There's no reason for Dexter
No.
to be there, but he's analyzing this body, and he's just memorized by this body that it has been
Yeah.
drained of its blood, and wondering how the serial killer actually done it. And
Hmm.
he has to try and BS them to the point where he can actually do his own investigating on his own and take down this guy, because he wants this guy for himself.
Yeah.
He doesn't
It's
want
it's his target.
right. And here's the thing. When you first see this, it kind of reminds me of a USA original show that they used to have back in the 90s, like Silk Stockings and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then also too, even the flashbacks seems like has like a little 90s vibe to it, where there's this
Yeah.
glare to actually let you know that's actually a flashback, which is
Hmm.
something that I really like. But what's the bald-headed guy's name that is always making like perverted jokes? Asuka?
Masuka.
Masuka.
Yeah.
He's actually one of my
Yeah.
favorites. He's actually one of my favorite characters out of the show, aside from Dex. But
He appeared on the show Chuck for a couple seasons. He was one of the I think he was the head of the Buy More, or the group of Chuck and and Jeffster and his best friend Morgan.
okay. And you see, I really like his character. Angel's really good. He has something. It seems like when we were first introduced to Angel, he has something to hide. There's just something there to me where
Mhm.
before we even get into why he's actually kind of distant and everything with some of the other cops, but he finds his whole entire relationship with Dexter, which I find really interesting. Where he's
Yeah.
like, Dex, what do you think of this? Is this good enough for my anniversary? Is she gonna
Yeah.
love it?
Yeah. And which everybody thought he was still married, but when you find out they were not married anymore, it's like another like whoa.
Right, because I was not expecting that, and then Dex even feels awkward as hell as for that reason too. Just well, all right, I'm just gonna go in there and bring him home then, bring him back to
Yeah.
his other house then.
Yeah.
But another thing though too but I'm gonna go back over to episode 1 is this. I liked how everybody sees Dexter as someone that's actually innocent. Nobody else has the creeps from him except for Dokes. And I really like that aspect that Dokes
Yeah.
doesn't have is the only one that can actually figure it out
Yeah.
with that creepiness.
Hmm.
And also too, you also have the girl who plays Buffy the Vampire Slayer in this TV show though too, who plays Dexter's love interest.
Yes. Rita.
And yeah, Rita. And I like the fact that he's not he just feels like he has to be normal. So in order for him to be normal, he has to be in a relationship. So
Yeah.
and she's so mentally damaged from her other relationships. He's like, hey, this is actually perfect. I'm damaged. You're damaged. This is perfect for my dark
Yeah.
passenger and everything. There's no emotional connection with us. I can actually go on ahead and be with Rita, and there's nothing else that's going to change that. But of course, we also find out as you progress in relationships, things change in relationships, and therefore you
Yep.
find yourself being attached to that person.
Yep. And then, or your ex-husband shows back up and trying to get back in your life. That ruins it.
Yeah, and that's also something that was actually pretty funny to me. Is like, oh, I'm a recovering junkie and everything, and stuff like that. I'm going to be so much better. And we're like, yeah, we heard this before several times, over and over again. It never pans out. It never works out. But I'm glad that Rita actually recognizes the fact that she doesn't need to be with him. She needs to be with Dexter instead.
Hmm.
And I like how Dexter actually puts it. He goes, it's not awkward that her boyfriend's also a serial killer either. So he even recognizes the fact that, hey, I'm a serial killer. I'm not as good as you make me out to be, kind of thing.
No, what I also like Dexter's like inner thoughts. I mean, it just kind of adds like humor to some of the situations. I'm like, ugh, duh, or just his inner thoughts, or like makes the show it like, or makes that season like, or the show in general is just awesome because you get to hear his inner thoughts. It's like breaking the
That's
fourth
what
wall
I like.
essentially.
Exactly. It's breaking the fourth wall in his head. And also, too, my favorite thing, though, too, is like for Halloween, he goes, everybody gets to be somebody that they're not on Halloween. It's the one day that
Mm-hmm.
everybody gets to be something else. And he says, I'm like that all the time. And so, therefore, Halloween is just like another day to him. He doesn't understand why
Mm-hmm.
people want to do something else. And that's also, too, he's just self examining himself, which I thought was actually pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how he actually shows Rita the witch costume,
Yeah.
and he goes, "What about a witch?" He goes, "No, I don't think I'm gonna be a witch this year. I think I'm gonna be Snow White like I normally am."
Yeah.
And the little boy goes, "I'm
And
gonna
then
be
she
a
ends up being
zombie."
Laura Croft.
Yeah,
And then she becomes Laura Croft.
yeah, and he doesn't even have a clue who Laura Croft is,
No.
and that's what makes it even more comical. He's like, "I don't know what to do with you. You feel so awkward."
Yeah.
And everything too, which is also something that that actor actually did that was really great. He's like, I don't know what to do with you. I'm Laura Croft.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a tuner. You're gonna look in tombs looking like that. Let's see. I kind of want to watch it from further back and catch up. Watching it from going back to it, you're gonna end up seeing a lot of stuff that you might have missed later on,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually amplifies the show even more, which is why I'm glad that we're actually going back and going through each season and watching him,
Yeah.
because there's stuff that I didn't catch the first go round or whatever, like the mannerisms with the ice truck killer and stuff like that I didn't catch the first go round. But
No.
what else I like though too is the police station's camera angles. Is
Mm-hmm.
you get to see the whole layout of the police station, and then while
Yeah.
Dexter, what the Angel and them are over here at one point and everything working on
Mm-hmm.
something else, it cuts away and moves over to Asuka, and then from Asuka it goes over to Dexter. So everybody's doing their own investigating in their own little circle, which I thought that was actually pretty cool on how they actually broke that down like a real police station.
Yeah. I also like just picked up on the opening montage of him getting ready for work and just leaving the building. All the stuff that he's doing about like the emphasis on the him like tightening his shoes.
Mm-hmm.
That's him choking people out, or putting the shirt on. Him kind of like suffocating somebody, or when like the imagery of him cutting the either not the steak or sometimes the steak, the blood splatter from that, or in the
Right.
orange, the remnants of the orange. I mean, it's just, I mean,
It's the
it
blood.
just definitely describes who he is.
Exactly. And that's actually pretty cool. As a matter of fact, you remember whenever he has the kid later on in the
Mm-hmm.
season, that theme song and everything changes to where he's like
Yeah,
unfocused. I like how
yeah,
the bootstraps break. I like how they actually use that to show that Dexter's changing.
mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Dexter reminds me of Tony from NCIS. I can actually see that in a sense. I can definitely see that. Let's see. What else worked for you? That's what I want to know.
I just thought like the tone of it, like I think how each like I think after each episode, you're getting closer to a reveal and stuff. I think it's after finding the after he found the Tony Lucci guy or whatever, the one that Luquerda like called like called him out. After he
Mm-hmm.
found him, he ends up in the hospital, and the guy that's working on him keeps staring at him awkwardly, and he works with amputees, and how it
Right.
just progresses from there. This how everything just picks up and this goes into its final climax.
Definitely. And the whole Tony thing that I really liked about it was this. You can definitely tell in that hospital bed that he's tensed. He's very tense. He's not relaxed or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. And he's not at ease like a normal patient would after being rescued. There's still some
Yeah.
tension there. And, even Dokes recognized the fact that he's tensed, and he thought that it was because Deborah recommended blindfolding him to
Mm-hmm.
actually help him remember stuff. And
Yeah.
it might have actually been a lot to do with the amputee, though,
Yeah.
is why he's actually tensed up and why he reacted the way that he did with Deborah. And of course, I
Yeah.
just want to say Deborah does get promoted. She winds up becoming a detective after the Dexter had that run in, fall in the ice truck and everything, and
Yeah.
then she followed a lead. After she followed that Dexter's lead, she winds up getting promoted.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it took time to build on her getting that. I'm glad they didn't like, okay, second episode, she gets promoted, you
No,
know?
they added on to it.
And I like that. It shows the levels of police work and how long it actually takes to build the case, and also to be able to actually climb that ladder of being a detective. So I like that. Let's
I
see
also
here.
like this oh, go ahead.
Love a show with major cliffhangers. I do too, baby. I love um, a show with major cliffhangers as well. All right, go on
As
ahead.
long as there's a resolution in the end, not end the show on a cliffhanger and don't come back to it.
Right. Uh, Another thing though too is we actually get to see a lot more of the adoption side of things, of Harry
Yeah.
adopting Dexter, and of
Mm-hmm.
course him
LaGuardia trying to
teaching.
adopt the
Yeah,
kid.
right. And I'm gonna let you talk a little bit more about that.
Okay. I thought that was interesting. Even though personally, I don't like LaGuardia. I find her to be annoying, like self-absorbed. Somebody that's just that will do anything to cheat her way back into power, throwing anybody after the bus. Like I didn't understand her hatred for Deb. Deb's just trying to do her job and try to be promoted like her father, not just get handed to it by the captain. But towards the end, you kind of feel bad for LaGuardia because just the politics is like they're using politics mainly just to push her aside, even though when she's actually known what she's doing is correct, but nobody chooses to listen to her. So she kind of turns into a Deb a little bit at the end.
She does. She winds up turning from being a hero in a sense when she's not really a hero, but she winds up turning
Yeah,
into a zero. But another
yeah,
thing though too that we actually have to look at too, she was very much like a kiss ass when it comes down to being on the press. That's all she cared about.
yeah,
She just wanted to go ahead and be on the press, answer questions from the press, and that's it. And that's what got her in trouble because she jumped the gun at the fact that she said Lucci is dead when
yeah,
he wasn't dead. There's no factual information on that, and also turn him into a suspect when there's no
yeah,
information to go on that as well.
yeah,
So you have that's three strikes right there that she was already on.
yeah,
And also too, you know, I like the fact that they went through the video footage and they actually recognized that Lucci's actually looking to the left, and you can definitely tell that someone's actually there watching him put the
yeah.
body parts in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then also too, he's also cutting off pieces of Lucci, the ice truck killer is,
Yeah.
and basically putting him in every location that Dexter grew up in, old sections
Mm-hmm.
of the neighborhood. And he's playing a game with Dexter because he knows that he's hot
Yeah.
on his trail, especially after being in an ice truck and
Yeah.
realizing that, you know, that he was following him.
I just
What
thought
was
the whole like the knowledge of Rudy of how he knew everything that happened, like how he knew because he knew about Dexter, how he knew to get into his apartment, to finding the locations of stuff, to being able to plant Tony in the area because thinking Dexter won't kill him, leading to him to try to get Deb and how everybody that all that kinds of stuff about how I think pretty much he was just the he was just the decoy. Was Tony, and how Deb got attracted to Tony, and then that got Rudy like, oh, I need to beat you for her, and how he was just the catalyst between Deb and Dexter the whole time that to let Rudy get involved. I thought that
Right,
part
I
was
agree.
so cool how they were able to plan it, and how the heck did he know all this info?
Right, and it just goes to show you that he has just as much investigating skills that Dexter has and
Yeah,
everything, and that's something else that I really liked with that. And then
and
also
then
too,
yeah.
uh,
No,
the
go
whole
ahead.
entire thing in Dexter's apartment.
Yeah,
Of course, we know about the slides. Of course, we know the fact that Dexter keeps souvenirs and everything
yeah,
with the slides with the blood and everything, and puts them on the slide. He puts them in the AC unit. But I also like the fact that when he opens up his freezer, he sees pieces of Barbie,
mm-hmm.
and then a couple of days later, Barbie is gone, and all there is just the head
Yeah.
of Barbie.
Oh, and how
And I like the
also
fact
Rudy
that
knew about the alcohol beers that he drinks, the type of steak he likes, like this admit the how similar Rudy is to Dexter. It
he's
was
also
just
a
like
neat
how
right.
yeah,
Another thing though too, I liked his character. I love Rudy's character and everything. And that's another thing though too. They made us care about his character
yeah,
because it could actually be one dimensional, and they didn't do that. I'm glad they didn't do a one dimensional kind of character for Rudy
mm-hmm.
because they could have actually gone sideways with that.
Yeah,
But another thing though too that we need to actually bring up though is the fact that I like the back and forth game that Rudy's actually playing with Dexter because Dexter put on
mm-hmm.
Craigslist about Ken, and then Rudy responds, "Don't worry, Barbie. Hold on to don't lose your head.
Yeah.
Ken will find you."
And that was the big reveal episode at the end of that one. Is as soon as he started dating Deb, he does, and then you find out he's the ice truck killer.
Right, and that's something that I really enjoyed. My other question is this: did you like any of the side things where they actually did some other stuff where, let's say, they were working some other cases aside from the ice truck killer stuff, where Dokes is actually um, having to bring Deb home and show where he lives, and also too to try and show that he's actually human instead of being a total douchebag asshole. But also
No,
too, did you like any of that stuff, or did you rather it just focus on Dexter and the ice trucks?
honestly, I mean, if it's a show about Dexter, I figured I want to see more Dexter. It's not a show about Dokes. If it was a show about Dokes, it'd be about him. But I don't really. I'm not a huge fan of his. I find him annoying. He just speaks first and asks questions later, or shoot first, ask questions later. And it's just
Right.
he's just like, I mean, that whole angle with him dealing with the guy's wife he's having sex with, and then just to get this honestly, I forgot the guy's name because honestly, this went over my head. I'm like, I don't really care about Dokes, and then or
Right.
that. I mean, I didn't really. I figured if it's a show about Dexter, I want to see more Dexter, not less.
I get the fact what they're trying to do. They're trying to get us
Yeah,
engaged in who Dokes actually is, but you didn't really need to actually have the other guys in the station
yeah,
doing all this stuff to him. You could have actually just focused on Dokes a little bit to
yeah.
where, okay, he slept with the guy, somebody's wife in the station, and so happens to be his DNA is inside of her, and
And
that's
she
it. And
died.
right, and that's all they could have done. They didn't have to go in through all this other stuff.
No,
But
or him shooting the guy that, and then ends up being a Dokes' background that gets covered up that we're probably not going to know about anymore. Than that is just like I'm like, they're like, we didn't need to know this. It's not going to be important.
it doesn't lead up to anything. It's just I think
Yeah,
they were like, okay, we have to do something for filler. So what can we
Yeah.
do to fill this episode? So it was one of those filler episode. You know what? Let's put Angel in there. Let's put Dokes riding in the car together. Let's see Dokes shoot somebody and then being investigated for shooting that person.
And how Batista finally having that arc of him fessing up and doing what's right to only just get it brushed under the rug like nothing happened. I mean,
I like that part though, to be honest with you. It just because I wanted more of Angel, because Angel's more of the downhearted person. He's not the pervert. He's not the asshole. He's not any of those. He's a down to earth guy, and I like they actually show that with us, and also too how honest he is. So that to me is just the level of layers that Angel actually has, and that's what they were showing us. So I was fine with that. It was just the whole dope side story, and then did you like the other stuff though, where Dexter's actually saving somebody in the junkyard and stuff like that too? Or did you feel that?
I think it was interesting the fact that it's kind of making Dexter like him go against his code and how that can make him mess up, and how there's it almost cost him in the end, but luckily he got it. Everybody thought of him as like your savior. We're not going to write you out.
Right. And I love that. I loved how they said, "I know who it is," and then it's like the kid drew a picture of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And Dexter's like, "Okay, I want to."
It's a sense of relief.
Right. And there's also another thing though too, where he actually has to go in through the police records to remove his alias name, so that way they didn't know that he was actually getting the needles to actually stick in other people's neck or anything like that to take them down. So I like that. There's a lot of suspense with those scenes with Dexter.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, is this guy going to get caught? And that's why we're invested, because we were actually wondering through all 7 seasons if this guy's going to be taken down. Yeah. That's why we're invested. That's why we're motivated into Dexter. Yeah. And speaking of season 7 for a minute, Brandy, want to know, have you all seen the first episode of season 7 yet? And I know you binge watched all those seasons and everything.
Recently. Like I said, it's years ago. Like, I mean, I don't remember much of season 3 until the ending. Like, I don't remember fully watching that. I watched the majority of season 4, but never finished it. I know what happens, and then it's been a long time since I've seen season 7, so I don't fully remember.
Same here as well. I mean, I don't remember the opening scene for season 7 because it's been so long ago. So that's why we're actually doing this, so that way we can actually go from season 1 all the way through season 7. So hold on to that though. We're actually going to cover that. But I like the fact too that it even goes into Dexter's first kill and everything with Harry. Yeah. Whenever the nurse was poisoning Harry, his foster dad, and he winds up doing something about her. And as a matter of fact, he wasn't the first one that she was actually poisoning. It was other patients that she was actually poisoning. She had a history of that because he actually pulled out the photo album and
everybody's killed.
Yeah, and she goes, "Oh, you're up, okay." And he's just so nonchalant about it, you know. He's like, "Oh, you're up."
or it's like his first reaction to his first kill is like, "Yeah, I was a lot bloodier back then than I am now."
I was a rookie, but now I actually amped it up to where I know what I'm doing. And then also too, he also said my first kill, he had blood all over him. He was sliding all over the saran wrap. He really didn't know what he was doing or anything like that. Even though he had the help from Harry on how to hunt somebody down, he took him hunting as well, which also leads into Deb being jealous of Dexter being able to be with Harry all the time. And she didn't understand these father and son trips that they would actually take or anything like that.
No.
They thought it was a bonding time, but it was just about normal time for Dexter. And then, you know, he even had to tell him how to fake it, how to fake a smile, so that way he can fit in,
Yeah.
because it's all part of fitting in.
Yeah. I also thought it was
And
pretty cool, like I said, about like kind of leading into the big reveal is like Dexter going through his photo album, seeing the photos of where these bodies are. That was interesting.
that was a really interesting thing, because it gives us a clue into his life that we didn't
Yeah.
see, and
Mm-hmm.
that we've been wanting to see. So it gives us a background on his life. Not only that, but also too, I like the fact that he's trying to help this other kid that's like him, who was raped,
Yeah.
and he was actually misconstrued about the kid because he judged him too harshly at that trial.
Yeah.
And he's going to go in
Yeah.
and kill him. But he got close enough to the fact that he almost got eaten up by an alligator. Dexter did.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
following.
And I didn't know Dexter was scared of alligators.
That I don't blame him. I don't blame him being
Yeah.
scared of alligators. Um, but
Should we recap
you
the
know,
first half of the episodes and then start talking about the back end? In case
right?
okay, so essentially in the first 6 or so episodes, we get to meet Dexter. Dexter is a serial killer that works for Miami PD. It's mainly focused in on him finding this new killer. They're calling him the ice truck killer. Deb becomes starts from prostitute and vice to become a full-on detective, to then leading up to everybody blaming this one guy as being the killer. Dexter finds him at a church at the hospital where Harry's being at. They find him. He's at a hospital with amputees. You meet Rudy briefly, and I would probably say Deb starts dating Rudy. I would say that's probably the good sum up. I guess the first 6.
Yeah, that's the first 6 episodes. Then we get introduced into Rita's ex-husband coming in to the show.
I'm not a fan of his.
I'm not either. I hate him with a passion because of
He was
how
all talk in the show.
exactly.
Dexter knocked him out in one blow. That's how I knew how tough Dexter was.
Exactly. But I like the
Um,
fact that go on.
yeah. So I was about to say, and then Rita's ex-husband gets involved. We get to meet Rudy, and then it all starts coming. Everything starts clicking, and then the show picks up. Personally, the first 6 episodes were there. They're entertaining, but after the first 6, things start picking up.
It definitely has a fast pace after episode 6. I will say that.
Yeah.
Because it goes more deeper into the investigation of the ice truck killer. It goes into the background of Dexter. It goes into the adoption of Dexter. It goes into Harry training Dexter, like I mentioned. It goes through all those emotions. And Dexter even battling with his Dexter battling with his own past.
Mm-hmm. And we find out more about what happened to Dexter as a kid, about what happened in that fateful that horrible night. And then it all picked up when he found out about his father, his biological father dying. And then them going to the house, Rita and Dexter going to the house, and then the sweet old lady across the street. She was a lot wiser than a lot of people probably were thinking. Like, oh, you're just an old lady. We don't need to listen to you. But they should have listened to her. And then, like I said, and then Rudy and Deb's appearance, and then Dexter trying to get the urn or information about what really happened to his father, and then Rudy suddenly being there to help him out. And then them driving, Rita and Deb Dexter driving away while the other lady's like, wait, that's the repairman. And the repairman was really Rudy. So into Rudy's the one that killed his father.
Yeah, I want to actually touch on that a little bit though too, because that's actually some of my favorite scenes was in that old neighborhood with the in the father's house. They're bonding, they're drinking. Not only that, but a Led Zeppelin song is actually being played. Which I want to actually say this: it was actually hard to actually get a Led Zeppelin song in a TV show, because The Sopranos was the first ones to actually get Led Zeppelin to okay it. So to actually have Led Zeppelin's stamp of approval to actually have that's actually pretty cool.
It's a pretty big deal.
But yeah, and here's the thing. At first, you're thinking this old lady just has Alzheimer's and everything, just a busybody across the road and everything. And I wouldn't have listened to her, to be honest with you, because she's a stranger.
Yeah,
I don't know her.
yeah,
I don't know her the way my father would know her, kind of thing. And that's exactly how Dexter is actually doing that. And she goes, "Who's going to clean my gutters? Are you going to clean my gutters?" And he goes, "No, ma'am, I'm not going to clean your gutters." And we're only going to be here for a little while. And then
yeah,
she asked him he asked her some questions, and she goes, "No, there was just a repairman that came." And like you
yeah,
said, as they're pulling away, she's trying to flag down Rudy, and Dexter's in the other car, not even paying attention. He's having his own
yeah.
conversation with Rita.
And Rudy, it was the evil guy. And it's like he's like a Dexter's version of Hitman Agent 47. He can blend in.
Exactly. And then also too, the another thing though too I liked about Rudy was the fact that how we always see Dexter talking on the phone to Rita or somebody's killing
Yeah,
somebody. We actually see that play out with Deb and Rudy. And
yeah,
he winds up telling Deb that he's going to go to bed, and he loves her, and then he goes into the walk-in cooler about to kill somebody.
yeah. After he sends a message to Dexter.
Right.
Well, parts about
And,
Deb I didn't like is just her freak outs at Dexter for just saying, oh, I'm like that kind of I mean I know it's warranted because it's her character, but I think there's a lot more of that. So it kind of makes Deb kind of weakens her character a little bit because she's just having freak outs on Dexter. But I'm like, Dexter, the reason Dexter doesn't tell you is because he doesn't want to remember it because it's brutal.
exactly. He wants to keep that dark passenger to himself. He doesn't trust
Yeah,
a lot of people. He even said it before. He'd rather be alone than to
yeah,
be with somebody or whatever. But even Harry said it. He said normal people don't feel that way. So you're gonna have to
yeah,
feel a certain way. Even that goes even back with the prom date that Dexter
yeah,
had. And then also
yeah,
to the hayride, which is also another
mm-hmm.
human part and everything that
Yeah,
was found. Which I thought that was funny that Angel would actually bring an anniversary gift onto a murder scene, asking Dexter what he thought about the
yeah.
gift. He goes, "What is that? A butterfly? No, it's a 4-leaf clover." So I really like
Um,
that.
I think the big shocking episode was probably the episode in the hotel room where
Oh
Dexter
yeah.
finds that one was a big pivotal moment because that's the first time you see Dexter not normal. Well, he's
No.
not a normal person in general, but not himself. And
Right.
that scene was kind of brutal to watch because that
It
was
really
so much
is.
blood.
Yeah. There's a lot of blood. As a matter of fact, it actually kind of looks like a Nightmare on Elm Street kind of feel to it with all the blood all over the
Or The
place.
Shining.
Yeah. And Dex is just freaking out because he was actually born in blood, basically, if you actually think about
Yeah,
it, where he actually had his dark passenger moment.
yeah.
And he was actually taken away covered in blood by Harry.
Mm-hmm.
So that freaked him out because of that. And he's having all these flashbacks. And that's when Doak said, "Oh, so it's about time something freaks you out."
Yeah, I mean that's just Dokes being a dick,
Right.
and
But
one insensitive asshole,
he
essentially.
was.
Um, but that episode also kicked it, starting to Dexter look into his past, and once he started doing that, that's what made the final 3 or 4 episodes really tense driven because he was trying to find out what really happened to his mom, who was his mom, was his dad really his dad, what's this ice truck killer got involved with him, all that kinds of stuff. And that's what I really liked is how they and then the little cues with when Batista got stabbed, and then what really happened with that.
Right. I definitely like that though.
Yeah,
Because here's the thing, Rudy knows that Angel's on top of him,
yeah,
basically investigating him, and he's getting closer and closer to actually revealing who he is.
Yeah.
And you see that little image where he's like, what do you know? Oh, nothing. We don't know who the guy is or anything. And then all of a sudden he just puts the blade back. So that's why Angel actually lived, because he didn't have anything else to go on. So we figured he was
Yeah.
actually safe.
Yeah.
But, he was also clumsy during this time, though, too. This is actually when Angel does wind up hitting Rudy.
Yeah.
And, like I
In the
said,
back of
Rudy
the
was
lip.
actually, yep. And this is actually where Rudy's actually clumsy for the first time, rather than being
Yeah.
clever.
Because
So,
people are able to pick up on it. It's like, oh, what happened to your lip? Oh, something happened at work. Like Deb picked up on it. Dexter picked up on it. I mean, and then Dexter was showing LaPuerta the back of the shirt over his lip without showing out how much of it. And Batista did that. Kind of proves how tough Batista was. That he wasn't going out without a fight.
exactly. And I like the fight. I like that. Not only that, but even when Batista's picking up on girls at the club, he actually sees the ability that Rudy actually worked on and
And then
everything
he
too.
starts thinking with his head instead of something else.
Right. I like that. I liked how he actually focused in and goes, and then he sees the girl walk away, the girl that he's actually hitting
Mm-hmm.
on. He goes, "Okay,
Yeah.
forget that. I'm concentrating over here now." And he's putting all the pieces together.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let you go on
And
ahead.
then and then in I think episode 10, I think that's what happened. 11 and 12 is definitely the big reveal is when he's like, Deb, don't go meet with Rudy. And she goes to meet with Rudy because, oh, I haven't had a boyfriend. I need to have one.
Right, and she's been having sex like crazy anyways, like, with
Yeah.
Rudy over and over again. So I mean,
And like
really,
she fought more about sex than Deck compared to like with Dexter's feelings.
right, exactly. It's like, I got my boyfriend now, you have your girlfriend, I have my life. Bye, Dex. See ya.
Yeah.
You know, but another thing though too I liked was this. You know how I was talking about the camera angles?
Yeah.
And you know how Dexter was trying to do his own investigation before he winds up judging Rudy? And I like
Yeah.
whenever he goes to Rudy's home, thinking that he can actually pick lock the
Yeah.
apartment door, and it's like an
Mm-hmm.
industrial lock, which you cannot
Yeah.
pick.
No.
And that's something that I really liked about that. But remember, whenever we were talking about the part where Batista winds up busting Rudy's lip, and then of course
Yeah.
there's some gauze that's actually in that dumpster.
Yeah.
And I liked how, okay, he can't get into the building, but we actually see the camera angles go from underneath that door and that walk-in, and we see
Mm-hmm.
all the different body parts that's actually in that room. And then it zooms all the way out to where Dexter's digging inside the dumpster. It was like the
Which you
outside
didn't think
looking
you'd
in.
ever have to do.
Right. So I really liked how they actually laid that groundwork.
And
And it was
then
very successful.
yeah, and especially the very end of it when Deb finally finds out that Rudy is the ice truck killer, that big suspense of that, and then Dexter like trying to find Deb. Like the
Right.
music definitely added the intensity of that episode.
And then also too, the spinning camera angles as far as Dexter freaking out, not knowing where his sister is and everything, and then
Mm-hmm.
trying to get dispatch to find out where Deborah is and everything too. And then at that moment, LaGreta is actually finding out information on her end as well for Rudy.
Yeah, and then
Which I
while
find
also while LaGuardia's also finding that she just lost her job after she thought it was happy, then she became that, and then she lost her job.
right. Another thing that I want to actually catch on. Remember when Angel had to go on ahead and do like through the psychiatric place and
Yeah,
find the fingerprints from Rudy's fingerprints over to the psychiatric place? And
yeah,
you remember the guy who's actually his roommate?
yeah.
And he goes, "She knows, she knows, she knows." And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I know what this is about. Deborah finds out that she knows about, it's like a little foreshadowing that she
Oh
knows about
wow.
Rudy.
Okay,
That's what
that's
I
pretty
put
cool.
together. Thanks.
Nice.
Because it's something that I picked up on that I didn't pick up on the first go round. I'm like,
Oh,
he's
cool.
actually, yeah, that's what I was actually thinking. I was like, she knows. And then as soon as it cuts away from that, it goes back over to Rudy. And then Rudy actually winds up admitting to who he is. And then it cuts back over to the repetitiveness of that character going, she knows, she knows.
Hmm.
So that's what I was getting. That's what I thought that was actually pretty cool. It's a little foreshadowing.
Yeah. And then episode 12, of course, like when you start like when the pieces of that are about when they LaGuardia and Doak show up at Dexter's home, and Doak's is looking around and he touches the ventilation system, like, oh no, is Doak's gonna find something now?
Right. And also, too, another thing that I actually want to mention is this, too. They actually meet up over at the cargo area where the
Yeah.
shipyard is. And that's where, surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
that's
when
where
everybody,
I wanted to see that fight. I think Doak's would have gotten beat by Dexter. Dexter would have kicked his ass.
well, even Dokes was surprised. Remember?
Like
He said,
yeah,
he
don't
winds up
underestimate
saying,
your opponent. I don't know.
right,
But I figured, I mean, if you're Dokes and you're this hard ass, you should never underestimate your opponent. And that's what he did with Dexter. But I think Dokes has just been on Dexter's butt the whole time, especially because he didn't bother to like see Batista, and he's just getting off on Dexter. Dexter's like, "Get your hand off me."
exactly. And not only that, but there's also something else, too. All he thinks of him is like as a lab geek, and that's it.
Yeah,
That's all that he thinks of Dexter as a lab
yeah,
nerd, and that's it. And also,
a
too,
creepy.
Dex was also in the army, though, too.
Yeah,
So I'm actually surprised. That's why you can see through all Dexter's BS. It's because of the
yeah,
fact that he was in the army.
yeah,
But he should have also been taken back a little bit at knowing the fact that he can actually defend himself, though, too.
yeah.
You know?
And
But I
then
really love
the other,
that.
yeah, I thought the big thing too is when Dexter found the house, and then you see the flashback of Rudy's real name is Brian,
You're right.
and that's when you
Brian,
find out he has a.
yeah. I'm
And
going
I
to
was
let you
like,
keep on talking.
whoa. Yeah, and I thought that was a whoa moment. Like, oh, at the first time I watched it, like, oh wow, I didn't pick up that he had a brother. And then him like him one egg Dexter on. Deb's not your sister. Let's go kill her together.
Right. And you can definitely tell that he's actually jealous, too. Because
Yeah.
he ought to know Dexter. Like, physically know Dexter while he was actually locked away in that psych
Mm-hmm.
ward with
Yeah.
nobody. And he's like, she's nobody. I'm blood. She doesn't know you like I know you. You don't have to hide
Mm-hmm.
from me because I'm your brother. I'm just like you. Let's go on ahead and we'll go on ahead and knock her out and everything, and we'll have some stakes later, pretty much.
Well,
But
another part that kind of made the clumsiness of Rudy at the end is that he let Dexter like dwindle so much so Deb can wake up and see Dexter trying to save Deb.
that's right. That's exactly right. Because he winds up knocking Dexter out with his own lethal injection,
Yeah.
too.
And then right when Dexter's about to Rudy's about to stab Deb, Dexter grabs it while her eyes light up, like she knows what's going on. And of course, after that, Dokes being the hard ass that he is blaming Dexter for this whole situation until Deb tells Dokes to shut up. Which I thought that was a great moment for Deb, is just to finally put Dokes in his place because somebody needed to.
I agree. And it wasn't LaGreta. You would actually think that LaGreta would have actually put Dokes in his place. But she doesn't do
But
that
she's
until like
just
the second season.
no, and she's just kind of like backing off a little bit, like she's scared of him, but not. Even though technically she took his credit, so I figured Dokes would be more mad at LaGuardia than Dexter because LaGuardia got the limelight of the biggest bust in Miami history, and he didn't get any credit for it.
Right. Another thing, though, too, that I think that the reason why she's threatened by Deb is because she's just like LaGreta in a sense. because
Yeah.
she's following this big, huge lead that could actually get her promoted to the point
Yeah.
maybe they might actually put her in that spot and
Yeah.
she's going to be gone. So that's why she's
Hmm.
probably threatened because she knows how good of a cop she is and
Yeah.
everything. So that's what I'm thinking is why she felt threatened.
I
What do you
think
think?
the big, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think because Deb has no problem going above her authorities, going above to like to do something, even though at first when she first started her career as a detective, but as the season progressed, she decided not to. She just leaned on her own hunches instead of going above her superiors because that's never a good way to go up the tandem pole.
Right. And also, too, another thing I want to mention is the fact that, he Dexter winds up faking out Brian slash Rudy and
Yeah,
everything too, with the fact that he thinks that Deborah's actually in bed, but instead it was just a mannequin.
yeah,
And so Ryan just goes on ahead and stabs, and then next thing you know it, he's stabbing nothing. And then Dexter
yeah.
goes on ahead, goes in with the needle, and he ties him up
Injection.
to his own his own injection. And then, of course, he has that other thing that drains the blood out of someone by tangling him
Yeah.
upside down.
Yeah. I thought that was like every season there tends to be like a yeah moment you finally got him, like you out tricked him. Like that in season one was that moment when he out tricked Rudy because Rudy was like he's so good at his work that he didn't recognize what is real and what's not real. And that
Right.
was what Rudy's downfall is.
I agree. But he also knows too much of Dexter to the
Yeah.
point where Dexter had to do something out of the playbook, out of left field, to
Yeah.
where he wouldn't do like, you know what I'm saying? To where
Yeah.
he had to actually think of something differently, which is something I really
Yeah,
appreciate that they actually did.
like kind of like that little moment where we realize like are you like Mr. Morgan, your sister's fine, she can take her home if you want to. That sudden pause, and then it shows to the back at the house, and you see it looked like Deb because that's practically how she sleeps. It's like flat out like the spread eagle like on that, and then everybody thinking that was really Deb, but it was just a mannequin. I thought that was really clever.
It was. And also too, he's always obsessed with mannequins and everything else. So to have that played back
Yeah.
and everything was great. And also, I want to point this out: the different fingernail polish thing was also an
Yeah.
homage to Dexter's mother too. That's
Oh
why he
yeah,
was
yeah, that's
unfair.
right. Yeah. And I thought,
So
like they said, I think that was probably one of Dexter's hardest kills he had to do that season was killing his own brother because you see the uh, the hesitation of him of trying to kill his brother and him like this putting his head on like his hand on his head like you just realize what have I done?
exactly. And also too, like whenever he winds up throwing Rudy over, well, he doesn't even throw him. That's right, he doesn't even throw him overboard or anything like that. He just leaves him
No,
there
he
for the
just lets
cops to
everybody
actually
see
see.
him.
Right,
Yeah,
and so he actually showed mercy on him compared to the other killers because that's his
yeah,
brother. So if it
mm-hmm.
was just an average Joe that he was just going to go after, he would actually chop them up into body parts and throw them over.
Yeah,
Another thing that we didn't touch on was the fact that Dexter does wind up knocking um, the ex-husband of
fall out.
Rita.
Yeah,
Yep, he knocked Paul out with a frying pan because he got tired of Paul. I would have knocked him out. Drags
yeah, I
him,
would have too.
drags him out of the kitchen, puts him in his own
Mm-hmm.
trunk, and then takes him over to a cheap hotel with a needle stuck in his arm to make it look like that he's high on
Yeah.
heroin.
What Dexter I think what he wasn't thinking at the time that showed up at the end of the episode was that shoe.
Mm-hmm.
The shoe that fell off his foot that Paul kept saying, I'm not a druggie, I was tricked. And it's just like everybody's feeling now people are trying to feel sympathetic for Paul, but I'm like, why?
Exactly. And Rita's even going through the emotions of like, why would he do this? What's going on? But she puts that aside. She's like, okay, my husband's in jail. I'm with Dexter. How's your sister doing, by the way? Because Dexter
Yeah,
has coffee and she's
yeah,
embracing him, asking how Deb is doing. And that's pretty much how the whole season actually ends with that.
And then suddenly Doak's staring at Dexter, following Dexter the whole time, pointing his eyes at him like, I'm watching you. And that's what sets up the next season's little cat and mouse chase between Doakes and Dexter and who will win.
And I really like that. I really like the cat and mouse game that they're doing for season 2. Because that's what sold me in season 2.
That's really a highlight of season 2.
Right. And of course, Dex also has to pretend that he's actually normal, so that way he can actually fool Dokes. But I'm not going to steal our own thunder on that part. The Halloween episode, right? The Halloween episode though that I liked too was, remember when the woman has this annoying dog that would not stop barking?
Oh yeah.
And he goes, look, can you do something with the dog? Can you put him inside? He's an outside dog. Well, you put him inside. He's an inside dog. I like that little line that he actually did.
The banner, yeah. The other thing too is interesting was some of the celebs that showed up in the season. I know the guy that played the psychiatrist. That was interesting to see him play that.
You see, I didn't know that.
I think I think Tony Goldman or whatever his name is. I think he's been in.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. And then you had the actor. Yeah. Then you also had the actor who played Sarah Marlotte in HBO's, the one with Sookie Stackhouse, True Blood.
Oh, True Blood, yeah.
He played a killer and everything, where Dexter was actually pretending that he was just a tourist on vacation and everything, and that's whenever he takes down Sam. And that's what I'm calling him. I'm just calling him Sam because that's what I know him from, is from True Blood. Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of good cameos in this season. The psychiatry part was really good for that was one of my favorite things for Dexter and everything too. That's another thing that I liked. So is there anything
I can find some behind the scenes information. I think we're at that point. Like, we just summed up what happened. Dexter got the killer, and then he at the end I thought the end was weird though. His thoughts showing him, like, everybody being celebrating towards him, and then with that, I thought that part was a little weird and like didn't really need to be a part of it, I guess. But then again, that just shows you how crazy Dexter's mind is rolling right now.
Right, and his mind is just going. He's like, oh, way to go, Dex. Way to kill that person. Way to get that douchebag off the street, Dex. Yeah. Good job. Good kill. And I just thought it was funny because I like dark humor. So for me, seeing it in his perspective was actually pretty funny. He's like Batman, but a serial killer version of Batman. So
yeah. And I mean, he's not rich too. So but if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it a B. If you take away some of the side filler, I think you can get up to an A. But I think it just right now it's a solid B. It's a good starter for a first season. The pilot had me hooked. And then it's just, like I said, the side filler parts of it were just But as soon as Rudy got into the picture and you got to know him more, that's when the show picked up.
I can agree with you on that as well. It was definitely a B plus for me as well, if you actually rate it that way, because I didn't really care for some of the side stuff or anything like that. I want to be solemnly just connected with the ice truck killer, but I understand too that they're trying to make it into like a detective kind of show where there's other cases going on aside from that. So I actually respect them to actually make it a lot more of the reality aspect of it, but was it actually needed is the real question.
So so before this, for the show, there's actually a lot of behind the scenes stuff I figured you guys should all know about. Like, for instance, one, Jeremy Renner was in talks to play Dexter. It was he said he didn't want to do it because he just played Jeffrey Dahmer, and he didn't want to be typecast as a serial killer, according to this article. Let me see. Yeah, they said Renner was offered the role of Dexter, but he turned it down. He had just played Jeff in a film and told them, "I can't do any other serial killer movies or TV shows." And then another thing is about the material Dexter used to wrap up his victims. They had to change the way the victims were strapped to the table because the actors were suffocating in the plastic wrap. It may not matter if their characters can breathe, but in real life, they have to be able to.
Right.
I mean, it makes
Another
sense.
thing, yeah, it does. It really does make sense because you don't want to wrap them up too tight to the point where they can't breathe or anything like that and be uncomfortable.
And you
So it
come
has
on
to
set.
be right. But yeah, I actually remember Howard Stern interviewing Jeremy Renner. This is
Yeah.
like maybe 3 years ago. I listened to that
Mhm.
interview with him, and this is actually after Dexter ended and all that stuff. And he goes, "What did I hear that you were going to be Dexter?" He said, "Yeah, I was. I was actually Dahmer. I didn't want to be recognized as a serial killer, and then my apartment also got broke into a couple of months later, and people were trying to steal stuff from me. So that's another thing that happened to him." So
Um, some other behind the scenes is that the actor David Zayas, he plays Angel Batista on the show. He used to be a cop before the show.
hmm, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know
But
that either until I just found out that information. Yeah, he's an ex cop. He joined the Air Force at 19 years old, and he was a police officer with the New York Police Department for 15 years before becoming an actor.
that's awesome because that also explains why he actually brought his A game to being a
Yeah,
cop on the show. So
yeah.
it goes hand in hand. I really like that. I respect him for that.
The chemistry between Deb and Dexter is really good. It's because in real life they were married, or either they were married or engaged to be married. Jennifer Carpenter and Michael C. Hall were married.
Yeah, I remember. I think they were actually engaged. I don't think they actually
Yeah, I
went
think it was
fully.
engaged.
Yeah, they were actually engaged and everything because I remember that.
And then the other
Um,
one is the actress that plays Rita, Julie Benz. She first auditioned to play Deb before Rita.
I wonder how that would have actually turned out. I don't think that it would have been as good as what we got, to be honest with you.
No, I don't. Definitely not as many f bombs though.
No, definitely
um,
not.
a funny one is kind of funny is it's a call Crash and Burn. It's like during filming, Michael C. Hall accidentally crashed Dexter speedboat, the Slice of Life, into a pier. He caused $8,000 worth of damage, but was not asked to pay for the damages because, well, he is Dexter of the show Dexter.
That's hilarious. That's actually pretty
Um,
funny.
that is. While most TV shows allow actors to go off script and improvise, the showrunners for Dexter said no way. The actors were required to stick to the scripts, and if they wanted to change or add any dialogue, it had to be approved by the show's creator, James Manos Jr.
I felt like that. It
This
was
is
actually needed.
yeah, this is another one we can get to after towards the back end of the seasons. It shows you how many people Dexter's actually killed.
Okay.
The interesting things about the again, we can do this towards the end, but anyway, the liquid blood that they would use was a mixture of made of maple syrup, food coloring, peppermint oil, and Dawn dish soap. The peppermint oil is used to keep the bugs away from it, and the Dawn dish soap was used to help the blood wash out of clothes and the sets that it comes into contact with. And another one about blood is the big pools of blood that you see on screen are made of thin pieces of acetate. This was a cleaner way to fill the scenes with blood, and it was also reusable.
Okay.
And then another cool one is all the knives and chainsaws and tools that you see in the kill room are real. The blades were dulled down, but they can still kill.
That's crazy. That's actually
Yeah.
pretty cool that they actually wanted it to be as real as possible. So I really actually appreciate them for doing that.
Yeah, this is kind of a creepy one, but in preparation to play Dexter, Michael C. Hall stalked real New Yorkers. While he never went out as the morbid desires of his best known role, Michael C. Hall did go to questionable lengths to get into character. On the George Stephanopoulos Tonight in 2013, he recalled after getting the part of Dexter when he had some time to kill, he would randomly choose someone in New York and follow them wherever they went. He assured the audience that he had no intention further then seeing how well he could pull it off without getting caught, which proved successful and led to one of the most striking portrayals in TV history.
Wow. I had no clue that he went that far. I could just see.
No, I didn't either.
I could see someone tapping on his window. What are you doing? I'm doing a TV show. I'm trying to get prepared, but you don't see me. Go back over into your house. You don't see me.
Yep. And then composer Daniel Litch reused his own 90s horror movie score for Dexter. He used the main composer for Dexter previously wrote the music for many scary movies, including a 1993 H.P. Lovecraft-inspired anthology film, Necronomicon Book of the Dead, which features one chilling piece entitled Because the Dawn. That particular score may sound especially familiar for Dexter's fans because he used it as the famous blood theme for the series.
That's interesting. So
yeah. Okay, and we were talking about like Deb cussing. So according to this, Jennifer Carpenter dropped 996 F-bombs throughout Dexter's run.
Damn, that's more than Tony Montana from Scarface, if you actually think about it.
Probably more than the entire movie of The Wolf of Wall Street.
That's true, even though Martin Scorsese still holds up that title for the most F-bombs in that movie, but Deb holds up the most F-bombs in a TV show.
And like a whole series in one movie. Right. I mean, that's pretty colorful, let's say that.
So I think that's gonna wrap everything up, unless you have some more stuff that you wanted to actually add to it.
No, I can't think of anything. I think we nailed on everything else. I mean, if you guys have any other questions or anything like that about Dexter, let us know either in the comments section or under these posts or anything like that, or let us know for next week's episode, which we're going to be focusing on season 2. So I do want to warn everybody, get ready, everybody. This is the next season's going to be, let's just say, won't be as positive as this one. We're just going to say that.
I agree. I cannot wait to actually talk. I think it's going to be great to actually talk. You know, I think it's going to be a great after show. I'm looking forward to it and everything. I think this is going to be fantastic. I'm excited to do this. I'm actually glad that we actually thought about doing this and collaborating on this. This has been great. Another thing too, guys, is tomorrow, I don't know if this is actually going to be a YouTube live review or not, or anything like that, but I actually have Tamika, my friend Rick, and we're going to be doing a Die Hard review from Bruce Willis for a Christmas movie. So stay tuned for that. I also have, Charlie and I will be back on Sunday at 8:00 Central Time on a YouTube live stream, and we are actually going to be doing a little bit of news, movie news and everything that dropped on Thursday night. And that is all the Disney Plus information that you want to know, speculating, getting geeky over everything, things like that. We're going to be talking about that on Sunday. I would have done it last night, but I already had other stuff scheduled before that. So I had no idea that Disney was just going to go on ahead and just slap us with that. So I'm actually excited to actually talk about stuff that's dropping on Disney Plus.
Long one.
Yes.
A long episode. We got a lot of info to go through. It was a huge dump yesterday. Like, after we found out one thing, another thing dropped. It was Disney's investor meeting yesterday. And all the information that come from one investor meeting, that's pretty shocking.
That is pretty shocking. I'll be straight up with you, because I thought, okay, is there some type of event that I didn't know about? Was it D23? What's up with this? And then all of a sudden, you just told me tonight it was just an investor meeting. I'm like, that's an investor meeting? It seems like someone took a big, huge X-Lax and just dumped it all over the internet. So I'm actually glad that we're actually doing that, getting that kind of information, and that we're actually going to be doing that on Sunday. You guys can actually catch us over there. Not only that, guys, but if you're also liking audio-only podcasts, you can actually listen to us at wherever you get your podcasts and everything as well. We are also being sponsored by Audible as well. So if you want to get a 30-day trial from us, go on ahead, click the links below. And go on ahead and subscribe to Audible. We also have a movie website called www.movieloversunite.com for all your entertainment needs. And of course, guys, if you want to actually donate towards the show, there's actually a GoFundMe page that you can actually find at the links below. Don't forget to also like, give us a thumbs up, smash that share button, and always until next time, bye-bye.